today's episode, we're going to take a look at this CNN panel talking about old dishonest Hegseth and Trump trying to throw the Admiral under the bus. No one should be shocked by this. Let's get into it.
The same is true with executors. We just had the Prince of Saudi Arabia treated like a king.
Let's get into it together.
War crimes and whether Pete Hegseth committed one. The Pentagon strikes on alleged boats in the Caribbean. They are raising serious alarms from both sides of the aisle tonight. Despite a debate about whether the administration has the authority to even strike the boats, 22 of them have been sunk. More than 80 people killed in those strikes. And now the reports seem to indicate that one of those strikes left no survivors. And a follow-up strike or a double tap was ordered to kill everyone on board that craft. Both Republicans and Democrats are arguing that at best, a second strike is illegal, and at worst, it's a war crime.
If it was as if the article said, that is a violation of the law of war. When people want to surrender, you don't kill them.
If that reporting is true, it's a clear violation of the DOD's own laws of war, as well as international laws. So this rises to the level of a war crime.
Obviously, if that occurred, that would be very serious, and I agree that would be an illegal act.
If the facts are as have been alleged, that there was a second strike specifically to kill the survivors in the water, that's a stone-cold war crime. It's also murder.
The White House and the Pentagon have denied a Washington Post report that claimed that Hegseth gave an order to, quote, kill everybody. And tonight, Hegseth and the White House are shifting responsibility to Admiral Mitch Bradley. He's the commander of U.S. Special Operations. Now, Hegseth says that he stands by that admiral's combat decisions, while the White House calls them lawful. Joining us in our fifth seat tonight is Margaret Donovan. She is a former Army JAG. Margaret, I want to start with you because there is this dispute about who gave the order. First of all, what do you make of the fact that tonight they seem to be pointing the finger pretty directly at this admiral and naming him, both at the White House podium and Pete Hegseth in this tweet in his defense, but really saying that he's responsible for this?
Yeah, I think that is a great indication of an administration who knows that something has gone terribly wrong here. I think that people are finally recognizing, and that's why you see we did that intro with all of these different leaders and lawmakers saying that this is a stone-cold war crime. This is so basic to everybody who has served in the military and who has trained on the law of war and the law of armed conflict, that it is a war crime, that it's no surprise that the administration will be trying to shift the blame. I think that the choice to sort of pin this on Admiral Bradley is an interesting one, but not unexpected, because Secretary Hegseth is not somebody who has exactly leadership qualities, right? He's actually largely unqualified to be in that position. And so, of course, his natural instinct would likely be to say, something has gone wrong, let me find somebody to blame this on. Now, that's not to absolve Admiral Bradley of anything. If the facts really have played out the way that it is being reported, he absolutely had a duty not to follow an unlawful order if it was Secretary Hegseth's order.
Yeah, I mean, Batya, this kind of puts the whole unlawful order thing in a different context, because now there's a real question about whether there was an unlawful order and who gave it.
Well, first of all, the story has been massively misreported. So you have actual headlines saying that Hegseth gave the order for the second hit. That wasn't in the initial Washington Post article, which claimed that following, by hearsay, somebody claimed to have heard Hegseth say, we have to kill everybody, therefore the admiral gave the second hit. So I just want to clear that up. I think that's why Hegseth wrote the tweet, is to just correct the record. But what I don't understand is, it is the Secretary of State's right to determine who is a terrorist and who isn't. The Secretary of State answers to the executive branch. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has determined that these boats are carrying terrorists, which makes the attacks on them legal. And the only question is whether that boat was disabled or whether it was destroyed. If it was destroyed, how are there still live people clinging to it? And if it was only disabled, let me just finish the point, then it was still a threat, meaning it was still a legitimate target. So I'm very confused. And by the way, I've spoken to a lot of veterans today who are also very confused by all of this bipartisan outrage.
Well, good thing we have a military lawyer at the table.
Can I just respond to two things?
Yeah,
first, I would say to your point about, who gave this order, what the Washington Post article said. I think that's precisely why we need the Senate and the House to do what they're supposed to do.
I
have
totally
oversight,
agree,
have investigations.
I totally agree.
Let's figure it out.
I want more information as well.
And second, on the point of the Secretary of State making it something a designated terrorist organization, that actually does not enable you to lethally target somebody. Naming somebody on the Secretary of State's list of foreign terrorist organizations actually only does, serious things. You can sanction people who are members of DTOs or FTOs. You can ban them from immigrating to the United States. You can actually criminally prosecute people who give them support, material support to terrorism. But it does not enable you to lethally target them. Yes, many DTOs and FTOs end up being organizations that we target abroad, but that's subject to congressional authorization and the laws of armed conflict when we see them abroad.
So you are in a dispute with the administration about that, which is totally fine.
Precisely.
Yes. Okay. So
yes.
Yes. So, but I am not. I think that they have that authority. So they have not been challenged yet in any significant way, neither by Congress nor by the court.
But here's
obviously, they're deciding with that.
I'll let you get in, but I don't want us to lose the point here. The question is actually not whether or not this was a legitimate target. I think there's dispute about that, but that's not what we're disputing. The question is whether it is legal, according to our rules of engagement and the laws of armed conflict that we abide by, to strike a target a second time when the target doesn't appear to pose a threat or is surrendering. That is the part that I think is in dispute, and that's not a question of whether they were terrorists or not. Even if they were terrorists, that might very well be illegal.
Buying this.
I think we should take a step back, because the only reason we know about this is because obviously somebody involved in that operation was uncomfortable with what was happening.
Yeah.
And that's how the Washington Post found out about it. Somebody leaked this to a reporter. People are not happy with Hegseth's leadership at the department. People are not happy with some of the things that the military is being ordered to do, whether it's the SEAL team, whether it's CENTCOM, whether it's... And I think that we have to pay attention to the fact that this isn't coming from some random reporter who was on the boat with them. This is coming from an internal source who is unhappy with the leadership of the administration.
To that point, the Washington Post had a story tonight that this is a quote from a military official. This is Protect Pete bullshit, that source said. One official said of Levitt's statement, it's throwing us, the service members, under the bus.
Right. I think it's going to be hard for this guy to
there is clearly not just whatever happened in that strike, but the cleanup from the White House is causing a lot of consternation.
Yeah, well, one thing I would note is every lawmaker you played started their thought by saying, if this is true. And the fact of the matter is there is a lot in dispute tonight. We don't know the answers to everything. And Batya raised an important point that there is a difference between disabling a boat and destroying it. If it was only disabled under the laws of war, actually, they would have potentially been able to make that a military target. But I think a couple important points to make here more generally is, it's interesting to hear the media talking about this breathlessly for hours and hours when, Biden or Obama drone striked. The only thing that needed to happen was John Kirby would go.
Here we go. You just knew it with the equivocations, the whataboutisms. What about Obama? What about Clinton? What about Biden? It's never on point. It's never the same. It's like apples and oranges. It's like apples and bananas, really. It's ridiculous. It's not even close to the same thing. First of all, Batya. Forget Lydia, she's just a total joke. They're both total jokes. And they will apologize for anything that the Trump administration does. They could literally drop a nuclear bomb on Nebraska and they'd find a way to apologize for it. But this Batya woman, you remember a few weeks ago, she was agreeing with Megyn Kelly on Megyn Kelly's show about how 15-year-olds were okay, Well, 5-year-olds are horrible, but 15-year-olds, that's okay. 15-year-olds aren't as bad. They're apologizing for Epstein. They're trying to make excuses in case Trump comes up in those files. So, we already know Batya has absolutely no decency or integrity. Another shameless Trump apologist. Just shameless. These people, they get on these shows every night and apologize for the worst things ever imaginable. Ask yourself, imagine Barack Obama doing any of the thousands of questionable things Donald Trump has done. And they're actually trying to equivocate over something that is probably not even halfway close to what Trump and Hegseth are doing. I mean, it's questionable. Forget the second strike, the first strike. Yeah, we don't know who's on these boats. Congress doesn't know who's on these boats. They're just blowing up boats. These people could be farmers, or who knows. The intelligence we have, and by the way, the UK and other European nations, our allies, have stopped sharing intelligence with us because they don't want to be associated with this. They know it's horrible. They know it's corrupt. Yeah, they're making these excuses because they want regime change, because they want to steal Venezuela's oil. That's number one. And number two, there is no fentanyl. It can make it on those boats. Several reports, official reports, that fentanyl, there's no drug trafficking from fentanyl to USA from Venezuela. I don't know, Venezuela, most of the fentanyl is coming out of Mexico. It's not even produced in Venezuela. I mean, it's such a joke. They expect all of us to be typical stupid MAGA Trump supporters. I could go on and on. But just remember, when you see these Trump apologists, know they're lying. 80-90% was coming out of their mouth. If not straight lies, it's spinning. They're laughable. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching.